Hey, it's Crystal and Simon from Pumped On Property. Today we're going to get into some of your questions answered. These are some questions that Simon and I are frequently being asked on the strategy sessions we're doing with some of our new clients and leads that come through to our business. We're so excited to be able to share with you some information on some of these frequently asked questions and hope that this info helps you today. All right, Simon. Oh, you're drinking your coffee.
That's all right. I just need a little bit of a caffeine hit before we get into these questions.
I'm going to put you under the pressure cooker a little bit today and jump straight into one of the first questions. So, Can I rent my property without a property manager?
Yes, you can rent your property out without a property manager. At the end of the day, it's your property. You can choose what you want to do with it. Some people don't love having to pay between 7 to 9% of the rent to the property managers to look after it. That being said, it's not something that we would advise. So for our portfolios, we enlist a property manager to look after the day-to-day tenants and maintenance of the property. And it takes a lot of pressure off because, tenants will request a lot from you. And if you don't have the experience or the knowledge or the confidence to do it properly, I really believe that property managers are quite affordable considering the amount of work that they do for you. So you can manage it yourself if you want to, but I would always recommend getting a property manager.
I really love having my property manager. I know they hold me accountable to doing those yearly things like smoke alarm compliance, making sure my landlord insurance is renewed, my contents and house insurance is renewed, checking those policies to know that I'm sort of covered for enough, and just those sorts of things, making sure my rent's at market value because they're in touch with other properties in the area. So I think they're a super invaluable asset to have in your team of advisors. Awesome, Simon. So jumping straight into question 2, how can I add value to my property?
This is probably a better question for you rather than me because you're the one that's done it so much. But look, there are limitless ways to add value to a property. I guess we start small and then we'll work our way up. So, you've got your standard cosmetic renovations. So when we talk about cosmetic renovations, it's not doing anything structural. You're not pulling down walls. You're not changing anything necessarily. You're just maybe painting interior, exterior as well, doing some landscaping outside. Maybe you're changing the flooring, replacing the carpets, polishing the timber floorboards, or regrouting the tiles. Those types of things are pretty basic. Window coverings, light fittings, things like that don't cost too much money. I love the saying, you can really polish a turd when it comes to cosmetic renovation. It's amazing what you can actually do there. It's just sometimes it won't add as much value as you would expect because it is just cosmetic. And then you can really step up to that next level of more structural renovation. So this is where you might be moving walls, opening up floor plans, completely replacing kitchens and bathrooms, adding bedrooms and living spaces, raising properties, building underneath or extending properties out, more larger scale, much more expensive renovations. You've done both of those, the cosmetic and the structural. What have you found works best from like a valuation perspective?
Oh, I guess it's interesting depending on what's been done. I know here with my principal place of residence, we're in quite a nice area. The structural renovations is really what took us to the next level from a value perspective. So getting our property in line with other properties on the street. When we bought this, it was a 4-bed, 1-bath. So turning it into a 5-bed, 2-bath home with a pool made a huge difference in terms of that value because now it is comparable to the other homes that are selling on the street at that level. In different markets, I guess it was a little bit different. We've sold properties in Brisbane where we did just go in there and do some landscaping, some mulching, cutting down trees, painting inside and outside. We still kind of got in there and redid like bathroom vanities. We didn't take the whole bathroom apart, but we still replaced those surface level things. And that definitely added some value. At the time, it was relatively affordable to do those things, maybe 40 to 50K. And we probably ended up making $100,000 extra than if we had have sold it as is or with some basic things. So both have helped us add value to our portfolio.
Then you can obviously scale it up another level, and this is a project that I'm looking at undertaking it sometime soon, which is like a knockdown rebuild. So my strategy was to buy sort of the worst house on a great street and then essentially buy it at land value, bulldoze the house and then rebuild whatever would suit the local market. So that's very expensive. In hindsight, after the changes to the construction industry with COVID, it's costing me a hell of a lot more money to do this type of project. So I think it was more valuable a few years ago compared to where it is right now, but there's still value to be added. There's no doubt about it. Even, with that type of strategy, you could potentially, if you can legally subdivide the land, you could maybe do a duplex of some sort. This is taking it up another level again, high risk, but sometimes high reward if you do it quite well.
Love it, Simon. Thanks for that. So moving straight into question 3. What lifestyle factors should I consider when identifying a suburb?
This is a good one. I like that question because 65 to 70% of Australians own occupiers and buying with more emotion than logic, right? So, these lifestyle factors and these emotional attachments that you have in a neighborhood are really important. And you'll notice that the most expensive locations have all of it, right?
Yeah.
They've got walkability to water or parks or national parks or something like that. They've got good cafes, restaurants and shops so that you can go and enjoy those luxuries. They've got good schools generally, both primary and high school. Some of them have really good accessibility, so good public transport options, whether that's a train station or a bus route, or even just access to a major arterial road that can get you into the city really quickly. So I find that all of these things are going to have a huge influence on the future capital growth of a property, and that compound effect will take place as time goes on. If you can get into the nicer suburb that has the better owner-occupier appeal, it's going to continue to attract those owner-occupiers and those higher income earners, and then they're going to be willing to pay more money for the same type of property, and then they're going to have more money to spend more money on adding value to those properties. And so, it might only be a small difference of $50,000 to $100,000 to get into a much higher quality suburb, but in time, with the compound effect, that gap could widen to say $400,000 or $500,000 over a 10 or 20 year period. So it really justifies the additional cost to get in if you can afford it. The only harsh thing about this is a lot of them do come with more negative gearing because you pay a higher price and they generally don't yield as well. So I like it from a capital growth perspective, but from a cash flow perspective can be a bit challenging. Is there anything that I missed there that you would have added?
Not really. I guess lifestyle is so different.
Subjective.
Yeah, exactly. So different depending on who you are and stage of life. So if you're young, no kids, the lifestyle things you're looking for is cafes, restaurants, retail. If you have kids, you're looking for schools, parks, that sort of thing. If work is really important too, you're going to be looking for how close you are to work or your office and that sort of thing, and the transport in and out. So it is very subjective, but like you said, generally speaking, those most expensive suburbs in at least the metro markets of Australia tend to have it all. So that rounds out this month of Your Questions Answered. Thanks guys for continuing to ask some really great questions on those strategy sessions online, through our Instagram, Facebook or YouTube. Keep them coming and we'll keep doing our best to answer as many as we can when we do these bids.
Thank you.
Woo!
That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Getting
Have a
cool,
spin.
bro. Yeah.
Oh, sweaty. So sweaty. Oh, that's good. Look at that. So nice, eh? Oh.